Let's talk now about 2024 Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie. The reason I talk about Chris Christie is not because all of a sudden I'm a Republican. The reason I talk about Chris Christie is not because I think he's going to win the Republican nomination. I will get to that in a moment. The reason I talk about Chris Christie is because the contrast between a Republican who is connected to the real world, but whom I disagree with on policy, and the rest of these clowns could not be a starker contrast today. Chris Christie appeared on Fox News a couple of days ago, and it is remarkable. Yes, he's pounding Trump. He's going after Trump. He's ridiculing Trump. He's saying things about Trump that the rest of them aren't willing to say. But it is remarkable how different his entire demeanor and approach is to this Republican primary. He's almost certainly not going to win, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but listen to Christie say things that are not controversial and say them in a way that they all should be saying them, but nobody's willing to do it other than Chris Christie.
But my view is he's let us down. Didn't build the wall. Mexico didn't pay for it. Didn't repeal and replace Obamacare like he said he would. Said he was going to balance the budget. He didn't. And you mentioned debates. Look, we should have debates, and everyone should be at the debates. And folks should go to chrischristie.com, donate, and make sure I'm on the stage. But Donald Trump should be on that stage, too. If you want the Republican nomination, the Republican voters have the right to see us right in those cameras and have us compare, and then let them choose. And American people are good at that, and we did, but they need all the information. And that's what we want to give them. The fact is, if polls...
You don't put much stock into the polling.
Well, what I put, that's what it is today. You know what they ask you, how they ask those questions? You've been called by pollsters. They say, if the election were held today, well, if the election were held today, I'd be shocked. Because the first election is not going to be in January in Iowa, January of 2024. We're 6-7 months away from that now. So let's run a campaign. I don't think we crown kings in America. You got to work for it. And Donald Trump needs to work for this nomination.
If he becomes the nominee, do y'all become friends again? Does he offer you a cabinet post again? Do y'all clean this up if he becomes the nominee?
I don't think so. I think some of the stuff he's called me over the last few months. I don't think that's going to happen, and that's sad, but it is the truth of the matter. And it's his doing.
But you're not closing the door to voting for him.
I'm saying I can't support him.
You won't vote for him.
I can't support either one of them.
Okay.
Not Biden or Trump, because they're not competent and qualified to be president for different reasons. Joe Biden predominantly because of his age and what we've seen on TV. And Donald Trump because I don't believe he can win, Lawrence. When you're under this much criminal scrutiny, and the conduct, by the way, that he's engaged in, taking those documents, keeping them in his home, making sure that his own lawyers didn't get to see all of them, not telling the truth to the Justice Department when they wanted those documents back, and now saying that what he was saying on a tape when he was waving around a document, well, I was lying then. Well, I think Mama Jones, and I know my mom, would say the same thing. You're lying once, I'm not going to believe you the other time, too. We need to have someone who's honest, direct, and who can beat the Democrats, because I'm tired of losing.
All right, so listen, this is not remarkable stuff. What's remarkable is how remarkable, unremarkable stuff sounds from Chris Christie, because no one else is willing to say this stuff. Now, it's not lost on me that I'm sure it's extremely triggering for Trump to turn on Fox News, which at one point was extremely friendly to him, as Trump says. And now they allow other candidates to express their views. It's not even that Fox News is no longer friendly to Trump. It's just other candidates have other views and they think they're better than Trump. This is not about glorifying Chris Christie as the moral whatever. Christie stood behind Trump literally and metaphorically for years and went with all of the stuff. And now all of a sudden, he's willing to say these things. But still, it is a good thing to meet MAGA where they are. And many of them are still watching Fox News. And that's why it is a great thing to have Chris Christie saying these things. It is not good for Trump to have a guy capable of coherent and provocative sound bites attacking Trump. It's not good for Trump. Will it make a difference? I don't know. And this is where I get to, okay, I want to have this conversation with you as well. People write to me and I see the comments and they say, David, you loser. Chris Christie's not going to win. I never said Chris Christie was going to win. I'm not supporting Chris Christie. It's almost like just because I recognize that Chris Christie's the only sane Republican running a normal campaign, I want him to win. And therefore, if he loses, you've defeated me. I'm not voting for any of these people, but it is crystal clear that if you said one of these Republicans is going to be the next president, it's not going to be Biden. Who do you go with? It is obvious I go with Chris Christie. Now, some people will write in and say, David, how are you defending Christie, who's so corrupt? I'm not defending Christie. What I'm telling you is he's the only candidate willing to tell the truth about Trump, who's not playing coy, who isn't angling for either a VP slot or Trump's MAGA voters or whatever the case may be. Now, he's obviously not going to win as a result. Chris Christie went from polling 1% to 2.5%. Now he's down to 2.4% in an average of recent polls. 2.4 is not super strong, okay, even if it's more than double where you started. So it's really an indictment of MAGA that there is essentially no appetite for just a normal Republican who would do things they claim to like. I think Chris Christie would probably try to lower the taxes of the people Republicans try to lower taxes for. And, he said he wanted the wall built. He's mad at Trump because Trump didn't build the wall. I mean, it's like he would more or less do the things I thought Republicans wanted, and he has no chance. It is an incredible indictment of the modern Republican Party. Are you tired of getting crushed in the market or the volatility? There is some good news, which is that Treasury yields are surging. You can now get a whopping 5% yield on Treasury bills. That is higher than any high yield savings account that I have seen. But buying U.S. Treasuries can be a complicated process. At least it used to be. That's where our sponsor, Public.com, comes in. With Public, you can buy Treasury bills in seconds right from your phone. Couldn't be easier. Plus, Public will even automatically roll over your investments at maturity. So you have one less thing to think about. Take another thing off your plate. Treasury bills are government-backed securities, considered one of the safest investments out there. And when you buy them through Public, they are securely stored at the Bank of New York Mellon, which is the largest custodian bank in the world. No minimum hold periods, no settlement delays. You have full access to your funds whenever you need them. Put your cash to work. Earn that 5% yield by going to public.com/Pacman. Don't miss the opportunity. The link is down below.